It's a commonplace, and now it's becoming a commonplace within like any base in the United States that you can go to. And one of the things, like right before I left Fort Bragg to go across the country, is they were breaking up gay rings of pornography of 82nd Airborne soldiers. These are supposed to be our elite airborne soldiers.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it wasn't just that they were the fact that they were gay, but because they could go fight for the country, do whatever, and keep it under wraps. They had a whole arena, and it's a whole through the network of computers. It's a whole system of groups, and we're talking like kind of like when you knock down your wall and you find out that you have 12 million termites in your wall. That's what it's like. It's an epidemic. It's a cancer. Basically, because if you look at it in the way of history, like when the Romans became full blown, their armies became mandatory basically to be homosexuals, because not they didn't trust them. It's the same way basically in the armies. If you're the other guy, you're not trusted.
I'm sorry, but I'm just saying that's all what you're saying right now is very interesting. The Bible tells us in the book of Luke 17, it says, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be also when the Son of Man cometh. And it goes on to say, where they were eating and drinking and they were marrying and were given in marriage. And then it goes on to say, so also, likewise, as it was in the days of Lot. And Lot was an inhabitant of the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, and Sodom and Gomorrah is noted for its licentiousness, the practice of homosexuality, and the Bible notes that in these last days, just prior to the second coming of Christ, just prior to the formation of a new world order, not even just prior to the formation of a new world order, but at that time period when the nations of the world will come together, we would see an insurgence of homosexuality becoming something that, is the norm. And you're throwing a piece of the puzzle into the pie that many people have not even discussed. But when you look at the trends on a social level, you can see clearly that there is a push for the traditional view of manhood to be eradicated, and this institution of a feminine male, it's being accepted. They have all these new titles like metrosexual, or a guy that, men that like to take care of themselves like women. You look in the entertainment industry and guys are wearing all these skin tight jeans and all these things. And all of this stuff is just pushing in that direction to arouse these base, unnatural desires in men to practice something that God never designed us to practice.
Right. And there's another thing that you absolutely do not know. And I found this information out by some people who were in psychological operations. One of the things is, if they find out you're in a gang in the military, obviously they kick you out because they still go by that. But, however, they're not being kicked out.
Right.
Basically, if you want to join a street gang, go to Texas. Go for a hood, and you can jump in a gang. If you want to be in a gang, go to Kaiserslautern in Cape Town, Germany, and you could be jumping in a gang, Crips, for instance. They're that widespread. They're not small. If you want to be jumping a gang, go to Fort Bragg. You could be part of the Bullets and the Crips and the KKK and the Skinheads.
It's a nightmare scenario. Gang members more violent and even tougher to take down because of the training we give them. A growing number of gangbangers are joining the military. And as Chris Bradford tells us, when these guys return to the street, they're much more dangerous.
Police are not trained to engage gangsters with military expertise. Meanwhile, there is growing evidence of gang members in the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines. And this former Marine, an Asian gang member known as Shady, agreed to talk to us if we did not reveal his true identity.
Well, where else are you learn war tactics? From the war school itself. For free.
So you're telling me that all of these gangs are within our military.
Yep.
Just give me a couple of more minutes on this particular issue, because that's it's
hard to get in there.
It's absurdly interesting, okay? And when I say absurdly, it's because it just sounds absurd, but I understand that it's a reality. What you're talking about here is there being gangs within the U.S. military. All right.
Yes,
Now this is something I'm gathering from what you're saying, that this is something that is welcomed or even desired to be a reality by those that are in control.
That last part?
I said from the way that you were stating this to me, the fact that there's gangs within our military, it's not something that just creeped in the back door, but it's something that's desired to be a reality by those that are in control.
Exactly, and it all started with Clinton, with this policy of people who had felony backgrounds.
Okay.
Can now get into the military. And the ones who had the felony backgrounds, of course, most of them were gang members.
Right.
And we're talking like America alone has enough gang members that they wanted an uprising, they could take over a section of the base.
Wow. Now, that's amazing. Now, why would our government want gangs to be within the U.S. military? Why?
Okay. First of all, we all know what gangs basically stand for. They stand for themselves. They stick together, right?
Right.
The reason why they want these gangs in the military is that it's alongside with the homosexuality, is that it breaks up the military from within. So that when the military is basically ragtag, and you've gotten the destruction of, like we said, the Green Berets, they pretty much are destroying them. Because, for instance, they're letting people now, that for you could go right now to a recruiter, special forces recruiter, and say, I want to be in the special forces. And they say, okay, we'll see what you qualified for. And they'll put you in right off the street. Do you want to be sent to war coming right off the street with minimal training in the special forces? No, you'll be blown away. And that's what they're hoping for.
Right. So
it's systematic downgrading of the military forces, because a lot of the people that are in gangs, they don't go by like yes sir, no sir. Most of the time they just cuts out of the NCO or lieutenant or whoever it is and go about their business. And it's starting to, the military is actually starting to fall apart.